we are nearing the end of 2024, or we will be by the time this podcast airs. So I thought it would be nice today to chat through a review of 2024 from a marketing perspective. So what's been big over the year, what we've sort of seen emerging, what's maybe disappeared and fallen down the trend ladder, and then a little bit about 2025 and what we think is going to continue to be big and what we might see coming into 2025 as well, that people can start incorporating into their strategies. So let's start with 2024. What do you think were the biggest trends?
AI.
Well, yeah. Obviously.
Yeah.
We can't really not mention it, can we?
AI, 100%.
Yes.
Biggest trends. Depends what you define as a trend. I think one thing that I've seen is the acknowledgement of multi-platform strategy as opposed to just over-reliance on like bottom of funnel, like search.
Yep.
Performance marketing.
There's more brands that previously would ignore socials are starting to realise how important it is for basically any business now.
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Yeah, which is a big one.
Yeah.
Imagine if they'd done that 5 years ago, but... Conversation around brand has definitely increased. I think long-term thinking is becoming a thing. Yep. Instead of short-term thinking. Social, obviously, has continued to grow. TikTok have, I think, dominated this year. Oh, massively. Massively.
Yeah. I think Facebook are a bit of a sleeping giant this year. They've sort of flown under the radar. They've had a little bit of a rebrand. Zuck's had a rebrand. And I think the stuff that they've been doing in the background, especially with the AI, is going to really push them forward next year.
They need something to reinvigorate the platform. Like, it's still massively used. I think people forget that. And people use it like every day and then go, oh, I don't really use Facebook, but yeah, you definitely probably do. Yeah. Like I always say, like, oh, I never go on Facebook, but I check it all the time because I check those little groups that you're part of, you know, the village groups or the...
So I think Facebook's walking the communication path.
Yeah.
Whereas I think...
And communities.
Yeah, I think TikTok is more of a consumption.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you engage more across Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger. They've got communication down.
So the first thing you mentioned was AI.
Mm-hmm.
And I think loads of the things that we've then mentioned as things that brands are pushing more towards and that are becoming more and more important, I think is because of AI and the rise of it.
Totally.
So, for example, more people using platforms like Facebook, which have the community feel, rather than Googling a question, and looking for the answer. A lot of the time people are referring to these genuine people to ask a question. Like I referred there as Facebook, like village groups. So everyone will be part of one of these.
Do you want to hear my left field view of that?
Yeah.
Belgium have just legalised prostitution and gave...
Where's this going?
Not legalised it, they've given the same workers' rights to prostitutes as you get if you're employed, basically. And it's the immediate thing that I was thinking when I heard it on the radio was that industry is going to grow massively over the next 5 years because of the rise in AI, robotics, computers, because people are going to be seeking out human experiences.
What a left field one.
Right? And that's what I was thinking, and it ties into what you just said. I think human experiences in person, all that kind of stuff is going to become more and more important, and brands are going to have to pivot to be able to have a connection with people rather than it just be a price-led transaction.
Which again, you mentioned brands looking to be more present across multiple platforms, which I think, again, massive down to AI. So certain brands, particularly more traditional brands, would just focus on web-based content, not really straying to say like the social media side of stuff. But now, because there's so much AI generated content out there in the world, people want the personalization that comes with TikTok, it comes with Instagram, it comes through Facebook communities. People genuinely want that, and they want to see that from brands as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that is kind of like the way that the AI has taken over has massively shifted basically every single aspect of marketing.
Yeah, it will affect every industry. It will affect everything.
But even the things like there where we're just like list off, oh, all these things have changed, they actually all boil back down to the biggest shift, which has been AI, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, huge impact. And it's literally only just started as well. I think if you're not using AI as part of everything that you're doing by this time next year, you're going to get left behind quite quickly.
You're physically not going to be able to keep up.
Yeah.
What didn't work in 2024, in your opinion? Overuse of AI?
So, yeah, I mean, marketers ruin everything.
Yep.
They ruined AI for a brief period by just piling into it without thinking.
And you're still seeing it now. You're still seeing those, particularly across like socials, and I'm thinking like LinkedIn now, those clearly AI generated posts. Like, how are people still doing this? Like, everybody knows how. So ChatGPT, for example, everybody knows how it writes.
Mm-hmm.
You can literally spot the words a million miles off. You can spot the emojis it uses. There's such clear patterns. Yeah, I can't believe people are still just literally just peddling it out.
I think the difference is, like, you look at the first 3 months of 2024 versus the last 3. The middle 6 months, people have become educated enough to spot it, whereas at the start of the year, people didn't really know or couldn't confirm that it was AI.
Yeah,
and that's like, where it just went mental, didn't it?
Did they just write a bit funny, or is that? And now it's like we've seen so much of it.
Yeah,
you can spot it within the first like 3 words.
I still hold strong on the premise of if it increases efficiency, use it.
Yeah, but rewrite it.
Well, don't use it for writing. Use it for the research.
Use it for research and ideas. Yeah.
The craft. Don't use it for the craft.
No, you literally can't. It's so obvious, and you can't get away with it.
But what people don't realize is they're devaluing themselves by using it for the craft.
Mm-hmm.
Make yourself more efficient so that your craft gets better.
Yeah, you're literally putting if you're a copywriter using AI to write copy for you, you are literally proving that your job isn't valid at that point. Yeah,
all the people that came out and were like, "Oh, it's going to steal our jobs," that are now then using it to write for them that are in copywriting or content.
Yeah.
It's like
you've literally got the chance there to prove everybody wrong.
It's a self-fulfilling
and write
prophecy.
Something. Yeah. What you should really be doing is trying to beat AI.
Well, just use it as
for
much as you want for efficiency.
Yeah. But then in terms of writing, prove that you can do it better.
Yeah.
And prove that it performs better.
Yeah.
Which again will be another thing that didn't work in 2024 is these brands overusing AI and actually now being penalised for it, which is something that we're seeing come into play more and more.
Yeah, people forget that Google bought DeepMind in 2014.
Yep.
That's 10 years ago. The naivety around them thinking that Google aren't going to be...
Yeah, I can just write every blog.
Clued in to even image generation, video generation, written word, that they're going to be well aware.
And same on socials.
Yep.
The algorithms are now all made to penalise AI written content, and now you're having to also tag on socials. And to be fair, they're starting to bring it more into website copyright.
Well, look at what Google did with Reddit this year. What's Reddit? It's a community.
Yep.
What happens on Reddit? People have conversations, and largely it's real people.
Yeah, and so that's now hitting top of the SERPs.
Google's trust has gone that way.
Yeah.
Read between the lines, folks.
Yeah, how many times you Google things now and you're not necessarily getting that long-winded blog style. You're getting a little discussion with people's opinions. And it's quite hard sometimes because it's quite irritating as a user sometimes because you're having to sift through this information to necessarily find what you want. You're not 100% sure if you believe it, but the fact that Google is believing that enough to pop it to the top, very, very telling.
So Google have been quiet, I think, when it comes to AI. A lot of people were like, they're so behind. They're not behind. Google are going to come out in about, in the next probably 12 months, they're going to come out with a completely new product, which will change how everybody searches, and it'll be more assistant focused, and it will answer your question. Doesn't matter the length of the query, and it will present you with a relevant display of all the types of content, questions, information that you might need based on your query. And I think they're going to be the first ones that are really going to shift search. It's like ChatGPT have launched SearchGPT. Fine, there's perplexity, fine.
It's very hard to get people to move away from Google.
But Google have got an advantage in that they've got the search market, they've still got the search market, and they've got the tech and the computing power and the budget to just, and I guarantee that they're working on something already that is going to shift from the little search box is going to disappear. Google will change from just having that little search box.
So what when you say the search box will disappear, what do you think that will look like?
I think it'll just be like a living thing. I think you'll just have a conversation with it, and it will be the best product on the market before anybody else does it.
Don't know how I feel about that.
But they're going to have to do that.
Well, yeah, it's the way the world's moving. Like, a lot of people now will go, rather than Google a question, they will put the question into ChatGPT because they just want one answer. They don't want to trawl through 10 pages of answers.
But look at what ChatGPT are doing now with putting ads in. They're monetizing the product.
I mean, it was only a matter of time.
Google don't have to take that move because it's already in play. It's been in play for the last 20 years. So all they need to do is they don't have to be the first, they just have to be the best. And they're very capable of being the best when it comes to releasing that product.
And that's what they've always held that top position when it comes to search.
Yeah.
I mean, literally we say Google it.
Google have never, ever paid attention to competitors.
They don't need to.
They just continue to build the right product.
And they are usually one step ahead.
And look at how many products they put out that die.
Yeah.
The test and learn cycle in Google's engineering timeline is just massive.
How do you feel about the current setup with the AI overviews?
I think it's like the tip of the iceberg for what I think they're building in the background. It's not the best experience, but it's also about getting people used to how AI surfaces information and how it presents information and what it also is able to interpret. I think they've got Gemini, which is a standalone thing, and then they've got AI overviews. And then if you think about the data that's going to be pulling in at scale between them and what that means when you look at it in the middle, it's just a test.
Scary to think the amount of data they hold, isn't it?
Frightening. Terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd rather not ever know.
Yeah.
Okay. Just reading my notes.
Sorry, I went off on a tangent there, didn't I?
No, it's good. This is what we need. This is what the discussion is. I think there's an awful lot to think about. It's been, to be fair, thinking about the shift of things, 2024 for marketing has been absolutely huge.
Yeah,
Huge.
There hasn't been a shift as big as this, I don't think, for a long, long time.
Here's one, actually. How do you think, then, your idea of what Google are doing in the background and what they've got set to come, is SEO going to become irrelevant?
No, I don't think so, because if you zoom out a little bit and try and quantify what SEO is, it's expertise in helping a user or a person find information.
But now, rather than helping, I guess we've always been at the mercy of SEO. We are looking to optimize for, we say user, but actually that algorithm that's figuring out where you sit. But now, are we optimizing actually for AI to find us?
I don't think so. I think AI is another mechanic of information being sourced. So technical SEO, if you've got shit technical SEO, your online presence is going to be diminished.
Yeah, they can't find you.
If you've got shit content, they're not going to serve it. Or if you've got no content, you're not going to get in front of the right people. If you haven't got a good brand experience, and people aren't talking about your digital PR, external content, brand partnerships, collabs, no one's going to know. And again, whatever Google's mechanic is for surfacing that information is not going to know that you exist. So in terms of SEO, the place that the information is served might change, but the way it's fed in and the way that you have to construct your strategy is still going to apply. It just means that you're going to have to add a layer of learning and understanding to be able to apply those bits of expertise in the current market. You can't do anything about the market and you can't do anything about the tech, but you can use your experience to adapt. And also, I think the skills that SEOs possess will become more valuable, because you're still going to want brands being able to rely on expertise to get them in front of the people.
Mm-hmm.
All you're still trying to
no
do
matter
is,
who's reading it to get you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All you're trying to do is harness the attention of the people that you're trying to get in front of.
Yeah.
And I think SEO is foundational for that as we move forward.
Definitely. So, what about 2025? We've kind of touched a little bit on what we think it's going to look like in terms of what you said with what you think Google's going to come out with. And a lot of what we've seen in 2024 is going to continue to grow into 2025. But what do you think are the big things?
Well, AI is going to speed everything along, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, and this is one that we're already starting to see a little bit more of, more personalization with it.
Yeah, but I think that will become commoditized as well, where it's just so efficient to make that happen that people will become numb to that experience.
Yep.
So I think
it'll be a trend, but it'll be a short-lived trend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think brand is going to become more prevalent. Real brand, not just paying for people to see you, but actually connecting with your audience in a way which turns them into advocates.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you're going to have to work harder to make sure that you're trying to make that connection.
Yeah, real people, short-term video.
Yeah, I think that's right. And being able to, I think influencers are going to go through a bit of a resurgence because real people is going to be more important.
Brand advocates and employees, that's the one.
Yeah.
We're seeing more of it now. Like, great example of this is like Currys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where they're doing those really good TikToks where they are literally just going into store and grabbing like members of staff.
Yep.
And they're just like your everyday members of staff that work in Currys. They're not necessarily like actors that are paid to be there. They're not anything like that.
Authenticity.
Yeah. And that's what people are looking for.
That's how I would summarize it.
Definitely.
Authenticity. And I think brands that have already got audience need to figure that out. Like Currys have done a great job of content native to the platform.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've taken TikTok and they've looked at the content and they've figured out how to make it effective within the platform itself. They've not just sprayed the same content across every channel.
No.
Which is what it needs.
Another one I think off the back of that as well is, and this is something we've talked about in another episode, live content.
So I was going to bring social shopping into the conversation because that in the last 3 months has exploded.
Yep.
And it's going to continue to explode, and it's going to make its way into FMCG, and it's going to make its way into big businesses because they're taking share from Amazon, they're taking share from e-com.
Yep.
And it's going to be a platform that is going to become too big for high street to ignore.
We're already starting to see high street appearing on there.
Yeah, well, it's QVC all over again, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is.
But it's effective. And again, it comes down to the people that are doing well on social shopping, and like the influencers that are owning it at the moment are the people that have got community.
Yeah. It just needs, it's going to take a little bit, like it's becoming bigger and bigger, but it is still, the real barrier will be once the high-end brands start doing it.
I think
it feels like this might just be my opinion, but it feels like social shopping feels like not something where you would part with a lot of money.
See, I think there are people like Lux Collective that are doing doing an amazing job in that space.
Literally,
I mean,
like
they're selling like
10 grand's worth
10 grand bags on TikTok.
Yeah. Mad.
And I think people's comfort levels with spending that amount of money online is improving. I always look back to about 15 years ago, my granddad paid 12 grand for a car online without even seeing it.
I would do that, but just because I can't be bothered with the. But if it was like
online, literally just
like just delivered to the door,
then, just went and got it. I was like, that's insane.
But online versus social feels different again.
But I think people's trust in social is increasing, and I think the technology behind it is also at a point where security is not only presented but shouted about.
So for me, like I'm going to take clothes shopping as a very easy example here. I would not buy like a top off TikTok shop. In my head, I would expect it to be cheap and crappy quality. That might just be the way I perceive it.
So let me give you this scenario then. So if you've got a brand or a store, let's use a store for example, that you would go in and you would shop and you would purchase in, that then in the hours that they've got the physical store and it's quiet on a Monday afternoon, for example, like they know on a Saturday and Sunday they're going to get footfall, they're going to get people coming through and they're going to get people buying. But through the week when it's quiet, what if that store then turned the store into a studio and started doing social shopping through the day, and you were on your lunch hour and you saw something that was from a store that you already trust, that you already purchased from?
That's the difference.
That's what's going to happen.
But that's where those brands are starting to emerge. But you wouldn't be using the words, "Oh, I got it from TikTok shop." You'd be saying, "Oh, I got it from Zara."
Yep. But it's normalising social shopping.
Yes, but it's becoming more that way. But right now, where it sits now, there's not enough of that happening for me personally, to have the trust in just like, I'll buy a top off there.
I would say the next 6 months you'll be very comfortable with
it. Don't need any more reasons.
But that's what's going to happen. And the thing is, it means like the little boutique outdoor shop in Ripon has the capability of opening up, shooting, getting an audience and doing social shopping in the hours where the store isn't busy. And it will gain an audience that trust that they're going to get a good product from someone that knows what they're talking about. And it's a level of expertise that you don't get from a big store.
No, and you also don't get from a website.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you have the video of somebody wearing it, you have the video of somebody talking about it. You literally can see like every aspect of it. You've got the authentic voice behind it.
It comes down to technology as well. Look, where we are now and where we're going to continue forward is technology and connectivity is just going to become more widespread, and it's going to become cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. So it's only going to be more prevalent. Being able to have a person in a store answer a question live almost about a product, and you think about the infrastructure as well. You could probably buy something on social shopping and have it delivered maybe the same day.
Not where I live, but yeah.
But it will get there though.
Yeah, of course it will. Yeah.
And I think someone like Amazon will be thinking.
But you can already do in London. You can do like hour
or Uber.
You can get
Uber
something in an hour,
delivering social shopping products.
Yeah. Okay, here's one for you, because I think this plays a little bit into what we've just been talking about with the way that shopping is changing. What about the metaverse?
Well, I said
started to see a little bit of that with brands doing almost like online virtual stores.
Yeah, I mean, I said at the start, didn't I, that Facebook have been a bit quiet. But I think they probably overinvested slightly early, but I wouldn't underestimate the learnings that they've taken from it.
People just weren't quite ready for it.
Yeah, I don't know whether the tech exists. Like you look at the Vision Pro, for example, which is probably the most premium, if not the most premium headset.
Have you tried one?
No.
I really want to try one.
And they've just come out with the Orion glasses, which I think is like the closest so far that we're going to come to normalizing that experience.
Like just wearing it day to day.
I think another 12, 18 months will be there. So like spatial computing and that kind of stuff will be mainstream, but we're not there yet. However, Facebook will be the first to nail that.
They're furthest along with that, aren't they?
Just because of the money that they've invested and the amount of learnings that they will have from failing first and failing fast. And I think he'll do it. People underestimate what a great entrepreneur is, and I think they get stuck in the fact that he's just this.
He's a bit odd.
Billionaire. He's a fucking genius.
Yeah, of course he is. Yeah. I mean, literally to come up with the premise of Facebook and build it and do everything he's done.
But he's made some great decisions this year. Llama, great decision. Open source in a large language model.
What do you think the metaverse will look like? What industries do you think are going to tap into it first?
Education would be the best use case that I can think of immediately.
Do you think there's enough money in education to do it?
I think education in the next 5-10 years is going to go through a massive shake-up anyway. I think a lot of it is going to end up becoming privatised just because it's such a mess, certainly in the UK. I don't know about elsewhere. And with privatisation comes money.
Mm-hmm.
And with money comes technology and investment. Yep. And I think when the tech catches up, and if that's a wild claim, isn't it? But if we do go that way, then it'll become mainstream. I mean, there's a lot of classrooms that have iPads per child.
Yeah, I know.
So I don't see any reason why not. And then you've got things like sport. Imagine being able to feel like you're there.
There's some stuff that started to happen around this, much more how they've changed marketing at sporting events as well. So was it the Super Bowl where they turned everyone into Toy Story characters?
Oh, I've not seen that.
Did you see
That'd
this?
be really cool.
I'll have to find the video afterwards. I think it was Toy Story. You could basically watch a version of it where every player on the field, you were watching it live, and every player was like a character.
Oh, I need to see that. That's ace.
I want to say they were like the little army men or something.
Yeah.
But then all the stands and everything, all the people were like characters, and it was very clever. And it's the second year they've done it. I can't remember what cartoon it was the previous year. But we're already starting to see how they're changing how sporting events happen and how they alter the sponsorship for them as well, just with stuff like that. So I can see that being a massive one.
Yeah, I think education makes the most sense. I think if you think about making the world smaller in the context of business as well, and you look at enterprise as another place where it's going to exist. I know we've got clients all over the world in different countries. Imagine being able to sit in a room and feel like you sat in the same room.
Yeah. And
how, if the technology is seamless enough, how much more effective that would be than a video call.
Probably not on our Wi-Fi.
Yeah, we'll not pull at that thread.
But yeah, 100%. Like, and if you think in a much bigger picture away from businesses, think about that with like world leaders.
100%. And it
creating that
globalizes
environment
everything.
where you sat in a room and again in the long run that could do amazing things in terms of, yes, you're always face to face is always going to be beneficial, but in terms of the amount we have to travel, the amount we have to pollute through traveling and things, if you can make that experience seem way more seamless and real.
But you think like we go down to London, hop on a train, do a face to face. If the technology presents a similar or close to experience as being in the room, what's that going to do to public transport in terms of cost?
Well, public transport's fucked anyway. How much does it cost us to go to London for
exactly,
a few
but
team members?
They're scraping by as it stands, even with lower demand. Imagine if that demand decreases even further because the capability of that technology presents the same experience. They're going to have to do something, aren't they?
Yeah. What do you think that would look like?
I think they're going to have to privatise rail pretty fucking quickly, to be honest. Certainly in the UK, it's absolutely outrageous, isn't it?
Honestly, I just can't. I don't want to get into it because it's a whole different thing, but just our entire rail system is absolutely just ruined. And this is somebody I get on the train like every day.
Yeah, I know. It's fucked. It really is.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And just like if you want to pop down to London from here, it's like starting 300 quid.
Yeah, it's ludicrous.
It's just
going down and back in the same day, which is often the case. It's just fucking way too expensive.
Yeah, it's actually just not feasible.
Yeah, well, it's becoming that way.
Yeah. Anyway, whole different topic.
Yeah.
I got a couple more. This episode's probably getting quite long, but it's good.
I could go all day about tech and innovation.
Ethical and inclusive marketing for brands in 2025.
Yeah, I think it's going to become more prevalent. I think, again, going back to AI is going to solve a lot of problems, and it's going to commoditize a lot of not only information, but capability of solving problems.
Yep.
Is going to increase. So, yeah, I think the conversation around it and the people and the brands that are doing something about it will just increase. It's like the B Corp movement will probably just continue to increase. It's also just becoming
more and more expected.
Yeah.
Like it should just be a priority, and more brands are prioritising it, as opposed to it being an afterthought.
A good example of it is if you look at the food system.
Mm-hmm.
People are becoming so educated and so well informed when it comes to what they're eating that the big companies that control the food system are probably looking at it and thinking, we're gonna have to sort ourselves out here. We can't keep just pumping everything full of sugar or putting preservatives through the roof in everything. We're gonna have to make an effort to improve what we're serving people.
Transparency, because people have more access to, the technologies that can look into things deeper, can actually find out more information about stuff. So brands are being forced to become more transparent.
Well, look at the data.
Yeah.
How much data is there now on the food system?
Yeah.
And there's a lot more conversation around it.
There's apps where you can scan a food item and it points out everything that you should not be eating in it.
Yep. Yeah, gone are the days where you can just make a chocolate bar smaller. You're just going to have to shift your whole model out.
Okay. Conversational marketing we've touched on a little bit.
Yep.
But more like chatbots.
Yeah, conversational is an interesting one because it's going to become a lot more difficult to distinguish between computer generated versus real people. Like I'm already seeing call centers being transitioned to just AI, even like conversations, like spoken word conversations with AI that answer your questions. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch. And I don't know, we're probably going to have to arrive at a place where it becomes regulated so that it's stated that you're not talking to a real person. That's the only way I think that it will be.
I think that'll come in pretty soon. So like I said, we're now, so many platforms are forcing you to label AI generated content, anything like that. And I think that will become quite a big thing.
Yeah. It's when AI becomes capable of making its own decisions and then they don't label it, and then that's a whole other kettle of fish.
So I'll try and wrap it up now because I've got more points, but I think this is getting long. I think what we're saying sort of for 2025 for businesses to kind of keep an eye on and either invest in or be aware of when it comes to strategies. Diversified content strategies, number one, especially across different platforms. Data transparency and more ethical, transparent practices.
Yep.
And obviously being aware of technologies that are changing and how that is massively affecting audiences.
Yep, definitely.
You ready for this or that? Okay.
I'll try and be concise.
Best platform for ROI? TikTok or Instagram?
TikTok,
yeah, I would say TikTok. Which is more impactful? Brand building or performance marketing?
Brand. But it takes longer. Yes. And it's harder.
This is a stupid question. I don't want to put this in. AI powered content or short form video?
For what?
What would you focus on in 2025?
I don't think you've got the option. It's budget dependent because you can't do everything unless you've got a lot of budget available. But I would do as much as you can across as many different places as you can, but make sure that it's native per platform. Short form videos just
Getting
easier
bigger and
to.
bigger.
It's getting bigger and it's easier to produce and be authentic with short form video, which I think is important.
Mm-hmm.
AI powered content, did you
Yeah.
say? So as long as it's powered, not written by, then yeah, I'm all for it. I think like I said, I don't know, towards the start, efficiency around planning, research, that kind of thing. But then time spent on the craft is going to be exponentially more valuable.
Which skill do you think you'd focus on more for 2025? Data analysis or creative storytelling?
Creative storytelling. I think data analysis is something that AI will be able to do.
Yeah, and there's already tools out there that can do it for you.
Yeah, I think the data is just going to become commoditized. As long as you know how to ask for what you're looking for, then AI will do the rest for you.
And also how to interpret it correctly.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I don't think you can spoof being able to tell a story.
No, definitely not. That's something AI is not going to be able to do.
That's a skill.
In the same way that a human can.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Nice.